Amateur Traveler is in its 20th year now, but can you imagine if I had people on the show who had never been to the destination, but had just read about it or seen a movie about it? That wouldn't make any sense at all, and you wouldn't listen. We all know how important it is to receive advice from people who know a destination to get the most authentic local experience. And a great option for experiencing this is Explore Worldwide and their authentic small group adventures, led by local tour leaders, perfect for solo travelers who want to meet like minded people with a desire for adventure. I'm often an independent traveler, but two of my last three trips were with small group tours because they organize everything and it's a lot easier. If you want to recreate the tour I did to Malta, they have a Malta and Gozo Discovery Tour. I'm intrigued by one of their tours called A Taste of Sicily. The company again is Explore Worldwide, and visit exploreworldwide.com to learn more. And thanks to Explore Worldwide for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler. The nights are long, the days are short, and the weather is chilly to downright cold, depending on where you are. It's a good time to slip into a Quince iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which start at only $50. You can treat yourself to everyday luxury at an affordable price with Quince. If you really want to dive into luxury, you can check out their leather handbags, washable silk shirts, and European linen sheet sets. Whatever you're looking for at Quince, all the prices are 50 to 80% less than similar brands, and they do that by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the middleman. They only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing processes. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. But you've already heard me rave about my Quince travel pants. Treat yourself this winter without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/traveler for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/traveler to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/traveler. And thanks to Quince for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler.
Got my bags packed, I'm on a roll. I'm heading out there and I'm ready to go. I'm looking real good in my passport photo. Oh, no.
Amateur Traveler, episode 709. Today, the Amateur Traveler talks about waterfalls and beaches, a huge dam and mission ruins, estaciones, and Philadelphia, but not that one, as we go to Paraguay. Welcome to the Amateur Traveler. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. Let's talk about Paraguay. I'd like to welcome to the show Angel Hernandez from California, but who's come to talk to us about Paraguay. Angel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris.
And Angel, what's your connection with Paraguay?
Myself and my family lived in Paraguay between the year 2005 and 2015.
Well, and you were going to be back this year if we weren't locked down, as I recall.
Yes, that is true. We had 1 week planned to go there, and then we were unable to do that. So we're looking forward to rescheduling that trip.
Excellent. And why should someone go to Paraguay?
There's a beauty in Paraguay. The people there, they definitely stand out to me and to my family. We were received by the Paraguayan people when we moved there. So we were able to just be a part of a community when we were without family. So it was easy. The culture there is very laid back. The stressors are not the same as anything here in the United States. Different culture, different life in a way. There's not a lot of pressure. And that's something that you can see in the people and see how they kind of take on their day. Another great thing two other great things about Paraguay are there's a variety of geographic zones. There are deserts, there are rainforests, there are waterfalls, there are huge rivers, caves, mountains. I mean, it's loaded with a lot of that, as well as many cultures. Paraguay has a heavy history in the 1900s where there was wars going on around the world. This was a place of refuge. So many cultures came. So you have the German culture, you have Mennonite, you have Japanese. You have so many cultures that are found in different pockets within the nation of Paraguay. Also, Paraguay, the size of Paraguay is about the same size as California, almost about the same shape. Population is heavily different. I believe there's only 11 million Paraguayans in Paraguay.
Okay.
It's very unique, and it's also in the center of South America. It's called the heart of South America. Beautiful place, man. Very hot.
One of the only or the only South American country not to be on the ocean?
I think they share that title with Bolivia.
Bolivia, sure. You're right.
Regardless of that, Paraguay is full of water. So the word Paraguay means land of water.
I did not know that. Okay.
In Spanish today, Paragua means umbrella.
Sure. Okay.
So it's umbrella. And over there in Paraguay, you would look at the sky and the clouds would be moving. The wind would come. It'd get a little cooler and you could tell it'd be raining. You could totally just tune into nature in Paraguay.
Excellent. And what kind of itinerary are you going to recommend for a traveler who's spending a week to 2 weeks there?
There's a lot of Paraguayan culture in me, so I would hope that whoever would want to travel to Paraguay would grasp some of it. And one way to do it is to definitely check out a soccer game.
Okay.
So see if that can fall into any itinerary. It would be best if it's a national team versus maybe Argentina, Brazil, some big name team. Go to be just shocked and impressed by the unification of the fans for this sport. So I would definitely recommend that. I would also send an individual to land in Asuncion. From Asuncion, whether you stay there or not, it's a fairly good sized city. There's a lot to see there. I would urge the individual to travel to Ciudad del Este, which is totally on the other side of the country. It is about maybe a 5-hour drive.
And that's the city of the East. So I'm assuming that it's in the East.
Yes, Ciudad del Este. The reason why they go to Ciudad del Este is because that's where Brazil and Argentina meet, and that's where Iguazu Falls is.
Okay.
The most water in the world is kind of collected there. While there, you can also venture to Itaipu Dam. I think in China, they have the biggest dam with the most cement.
Okay.
Itaipu Dam is the biggest dam with the most water. It's an amazing site. Both of those sites are amazing sites. From that location, so you'd probably do Asuncion a day. One of those days is traveling to Ciudad del Este, stay there a day or two. From there, my return back would be through Encarnacion. Encarnacion is one of the newest cities there. It's definitely old, but this is a city that has been more productive in regards to the population. It has really done a great job with the scenery. It's alongside the river, Paraná, I believe it is. And its neighbors, the city of Argentina. Oh, I forget the name of that city, but it just looks beautiful. And it's just a new city. The buildings are all new. The people there, they've all just kind of moved there. So that's just a great creation to see. As you venture from that city, you should go through the Jesuit ruins. I forget the name of the city that you kind of have to go through, but the ruins there are pretty impressive. There's about maybe 3 to 5 locations one can choose from along a certain route. It's an amazing site. You see the history. There's abuse, obviously, that you're going to be told in regards to how those things were built, maintained, and then removed. It's just a lot of history. And from there, you will then venture back to your stay in Asuncion. If Asuncion has you a day or two, in fact, in any location, in any city, go to any spa that looks nice and live it up. It's very affordable. You could do it all. You could have total tending to after a long haul, whether it be on the car, whether it be the sights, whether it be the heat that's getting to you. You could totally restore yourself back.
Well, and you say the heat. What time of year would you recommend a trip to Paraguay?
There are only about 2 to 3 weeks where it's fairly cold.
Okay.
Other than that, it's pretty humid, very hot. One gets used to it. The clothing one chooses to wear, cargo shorts, tank tops, a hat, shades. Go set like if you're going to be at the beach. It's very humid. Have some water ready. You'll see that the Paraguayans there have a drink that they all commune to. It's called tereré. It is a iced drink where they use a lot of roots found there. There's a lot of great plants. If you have a green thumb, go there. Or if you don't have a green thumb, go there. Everything grows. There's no way you're going to fail. It's going to pop. Great soil. But anyways, they use the roots and they mash it up and they pour it into a container called a wampa, which is just a cup, and they have a metal straw that has like a screen in it. So you pour 1 drink's worth into this container from a thermos that's holding all this water, and then you pass it around, and it's just it's drank in a circle. There's one person in charge of the drinking. Anyways, this is to keep people refreshed. You'll see this a lot while you're there, and you might even decide to take one of these home. I have quite a few in my house because you can decorate them. You can get a regular thermos, or you can have it personalized to say your name, Chris, was here.
Okay, so you started us in Ascension
Yes.
and said there were some good things to see there. What would you recommend we see while we're in Ascension? Asuncion. Sorry, I said that wrong.
Asuncion means ascension.
Yeah.
For Asuncion, there are probably, it's almost like the Bay Area where so many cities are connected.
Mm-hmm.
So Asuncion would be like San Francisco. So with that kind of mindset, that being here in Santa Clara, you would have a variety of things to do.
So first of all, because it's a big city, is there some place you would recommend to stay, one particular neighborhood that's convenient to some of the places you're going to send us?
You would want to stay in the kind of city central a bit, not necessarily, and then travel to the inner city.
Okay.
In the inner city, you have a street called Calle Palma, and that's probably a 3-mile street, I guess.
A palm tree lined street, perhaps, from the name?
You would assume, but no.
Okay.
It is full of a lot of flags. There are a lot of vendors, a lot of typical Paraguayan artifacts. So they have a lot of hammocks. Like I said, it's a laid-back country. They have a lot of hammocks, a lot of chairs, rocking chairs. Everything is sold there. There's department stores that you can go to, as well as vendors in front of those department stores. There's a lot of restaurants in that area. There's a lot of American restaurants, as well as Paraguayan restaurants, as well as other nations trying to sell their product there. So it's typical. Nothing necessarily stands out, doesn't make it its own city, very unique, but it is growing and adapting. Paraguay is coming from a dictatorship, so they're probably 20 years out of it. And so due to that, they're getting used to being like the rest of the world in a way. And I don't know how to put that into more, I guess, other words, just because I've lived it, but they're pushing forward.
Okay.
They're becoming a independent city. They're trying to give themselves a flavor.
Well, and sometimes 20 years out is a ways out, but sometimes you'll see that in the culture that people will be a little more guarded because you had to be very careful what you said under a dictatorship. Do you find that in Paraguay, or is that sounds like the opposite of what you describe the people as?
Well, they are definitely people of people. They are laid back. They love on people. And I guess just freedom is slow to receive.
Okay.
They were used to that oppression. Mm-hmm. And the freedom for some is slow. For others, obviously, it's pretty quick. It seems like a young nation.
Okay. Any particular sites we should see while we're in town?
Like I said, it's definitely the games.
Okay.
I would use Asuncion as your arrival spot.
Okay.
Obviously, they have the airport there. Asuncion is like any city. You can find any attraction in any other city, you would find it there. So it's very difficult to say this stands out. I could send you to places to consider eating in the city.
Sure.
Okay, perfect.
That would be appreciated.
There are quite a few spots. So if you are in Asuncion, as well as if you are in any other place, if you have made friends and they invite you to an asado is a barbecue, consider going. That is a beautiful treat for anybody. Paraguay was on the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't think they still are. I think another nation got upset at them. But I believe Argentina won in regards to the biggest barbecue, and then Paraguay the following week took it over. I don't know if they still are number one, but that just shows the culture of just gathering, hanging out, and providing for. A barbecue takes a long time, and people invite you over to their house for a barbecue before they even have any fire going, before they have any meat prepared, before they have any food prepared, because they want to spend the whole day with you. So it's a beautiful invitation. If that's given to you, please consider. That's better than seeing anything out of the ordinary. Just seeing people just want to host you feels good. Now, on top of that, if you are in the city and you want to have some of that meat, go to a churrasqueria. The best churrasqueria there is called Paulista. Paulista. They have, the way they do it there is you go in and the waiters come to you and you just use your green and red symbol, just like traffic light, and they will bring a variety of cuts, poultry, beef.
You're green and red. So you mean I've got a paddle that is green and red on one side of do I want more or do I want
Yes,
that one?
like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It sounds like a Brazilian barbecue. I'm familiar with sounds like
Oh
a
yeah,
similar
it's
system. Okay.
like a Brazilian barbecue.
Got it. All
I
right.
forget what the title Paulista means. It's a negative thing, but still, it's a beautiful place to eat. There's an ice cream called Doña Angela's ice cream. Also, Paulista is on Mariscal Lopez, I believe, or Avenida del Chaco. A lot of good restaurants are on there.
Okay.
Cuatro de is another restaurant. They have a great sandwich. There's a popular item that's served in Paraguay. This could be in the streets, at the soccer games, or in restaurants, and it's called chipa. So it's like a corn treat. It's usually shaped in a circle.
Okay.
Consider eating that. If you want to go to the best one, it's called Chipa Barrero in Shopping Mariscal Lopez. That is a shopping mall. It's one of the most popular ones there, typical mall. But in that location, there is a small little kiosk that sells chipa, and it's called ña, which is like the N-A, Estigarribia. Go there, that's some good chipa. Anywhere you find empanadas, consider trying. One of the most popular restaurants for empanadas there is a small little restaurant called Don Vito, and the empanadas there are a variety of flavors. Please consider and add some salsa to it. Also, Paraguayans don't have a lot of hot sauce.
Oh, okay.
They believe that salt and pepper is spicy enough.
Okay.
So if you like spicy food, consider buying one when you get there or taking your own bottle. There is a place, if you travel eastward, I believe, east or north, to a city called Paraguay, there is a fruit stand. It's called a fruteria. So it's bigger than a fruit stand. It's a store. They sell fruit. They also have a restaurant there. So many people stop there and actually just go there just for that, just to be there. But anyways, they have a chicken sandwich that is top of the line. It's so good. On our way to go camping when we lived there, we would stop there. We would eat our chicken sandwich, and we'd also order another one so we could eat when we get to our campsite. That is just beautiful food.
Okay. So you took us out to the east then, also to near Iguazu Falls and a really big dam, the Itaipu. Other than Iguazu, well, Iguazu Falls we've talked about on the show before, but definitely some place that we have recommended multiple times from multiple countries. Is there anything different about approaching it through Paraguay?
Yeah, there's a beautiful way to get there. So if you go towards Ciudad del Este, instead of crossing the border, because Ciudad del Este will take you into Brazil.
Sure.
So it depends on if you are going to see the falls of Iguazu, actually that's no longer Paraguay. So the tourists know that they'll either have to get a visa from Brazil or from Argentina. I've been to both locations. Argentina has the best entrance. So if you go through Ciudad del Este, you would have to then get a Brazilian visa that takes you, I think it's only like 10 miles through Brazil to then get to the Argentinian border. So you would have to purchase two visas. The best way to go through Paraguay when you get to Ciudad del Este is you would hang a right at the city, and you would, it's alongside the river. So if you're on a map, you'll be able to see this. Alongside the river, you probably travel down within 10 miles or so. There's a entrance to get a ferry across the river and straight into that town of Argentina that is, I forget the name of the town, but it's a beautiful, beautiful small town that's just focused around Iguazu Falls. The beautiful thing is that ferry plays the role of the border. So you go through customs in a way, your car gets loaded, you wait on the boat, it goes over, takes about 10, 15 minutes. We did this maybe twice, one time under the rain. It's just a beautiful thing to kind of experience. And then after that, you get back into your car and you're in another country and ready to go to see that amazing waterfall. It's beautiful, man.
Cool. And you mentioned also the dam there, which is an amazing site in terms of its significance. Is there anything else you wanted us to see there? Are there dam tours or things like that?
Well, there are definitely dam tours. I know it sounds bad to say it like that, but they're okay.
Worse so because I happen to know that Angel's a pastor, so Yeah.
So we took a tour on a bus, and we went, I think it's to above the dam. So it was pretty cool to see all of that. There are more tours. You can go into see the river, because it's an amazing, it's a huge river. There's a lot of water. So if you are going to go and stay around that dam, or Ciudad del Este, stay around the dam, because that's a pretty nice area. It's kind of like rolling hills in a way.
Okay.
Beautiful houses, big houses. I'm sure you get a good Airbnb there.
And then I know that one of the other sites you had that we wanted to see on the way back, and I don't know if I'm skipping over something, was the Jesuit ruins.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's La Santísima Trinidad de Parana, which is the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in Paraguay.
Yes. We stayed in an estancia. An estancia is like a ranch.
Sure.
The ranch is there. They provide you with house, as well as they have a pool, as well as any service you would want. It's an amazing setting. It's somewhat rural, somewhat kind of old school, but at the same time, they try to provide any service.
How does one find a good ranch to stay at? Did you just look it up on hotels.com like any other accommodation, or is there someplace special you went?
We definitely looked it up online, looked at all the reviews.
Okay.
If you speak Spanish, you'll be able to get a little bit more service.
Por supuesto.
Yeah, there you go. So we, with our in-laws, one time went and we just focused on the Jesuit ruins. So we had I think we had two different hotels, I guess, or estancias that we stayed at within maybe 50 miles apart, so that we can see quite a few of those ruins. They're worth it. It's good history. It's amazing architecture. It's an amazing scene where you could see like the church setting, and you could see where the preacher would stand above all the people. You could look back then behind you, and you could see where they would have the prisoner inside of the cell, obligated to hear the sermon in hope of repentance. It's amazing, man. They keep you too. And it's also a far walk. So when you park, you see this monstrous building so far away, and you got to just walk close to, like, I don't know, half a mile of just over this green grass. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's almost like they were prepared to be in a spot where they could see the enemy coming. It's a nice historical view of what they were probably thinking as you look around.
And you mentioned the history of this, and I wanted to get into it just briefly for those who don't know. I'm a bit of a history buff. And so we're talking about the Jesuits who had permission from the king of Spain, obviously, to come and set a series of 30 different missions in the area. So this is in the 17th, 18th century or so. But then the Jesuits get on the wrong side of the king. And usually that always involves taxes and political things rather than anything religious at that point. And so they're kicked out. They're kicked out of the whole New World, as I recall. And I don't remember quite what the date was for that. And so these become ruins because of the expulsions of the Jesuits.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep,
so
it's amazing.
30 different mission ruins to choose from. Is there any particular one that you would recommend?
I don't know the name.
Okay.
It's a town. You're going to go and see a town that is no longer in function. Mm-hmm. So you see the main church, you see the area where the religious individuals were, where the meetings were held, and where the natives were also living. So you see a huge differential in regards to the living conditions and situations there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that does sound like it's the one that I was talking about, La Santísima Trinidad de Parana.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and there are also, for those people who are a little less adventurous or maybe a little less fluent, there are tours that you can take that are day trips that go out to these various missions as well, if you want to go with somebody who can tell you more about the culture or the history or those sort of things as well.
Yep.
And take you to the good ones.
That's right.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned staying at a ranch, and even though we just did an episode on Uruguay, and it's the same word there, I've forgotten the word already. Estancia. On our way back. So you're recommending staying in a ranch because that's going to get us a little more connected to the culture, because this is a real ranch culture area. What is that going to be like? Good beef, I'm guessing.
Well, here's the deal. I recall one. And on this one, it's almost like you're in an apartment setting. Yep. In a way. And outside your apartment, there are still ranchers. There's a farm. There's cows. There's a small zoo. And then there's a pool that you have. You go, you use your pool, you hang out, you bathe, and they provide at another location, or I guess at their lunch spot, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you. So all that has already been paid for. You just go and you obtain it. There are tours within. Each estancia is very specific, so you could just take a walk. You could take a walk on drive on a carriage. You could ride horses. Some estancias have off-road vehicles. Depends on what the individual might want to do. Some estancias have lakes and waters and all that, and so those are some attractions as well.
Got it. So it's a little more than just a place to sleep for the night. It is itself an attraction.
Yes.
Excellent.
And there's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot.
And am I missing something else on your itinerary, or are we kind of wrapped up and heading back?
You are heading back, but here's the deal. I want to mention 3 locations.
Oh, you also mentioned Encarnacion.
Well, Encarnacion would have been where from Ciudad del Este, we would have went to Encarnacion just to see that city, and then we would be turning then back towards the Jesuit ruins.
Got it. Okay, but you say we're headed down there just to see that city, and what are we seeing in that city?
Just a new city, a young city.
Got it. Okay.
What Paraguay has done to it, how it looks as opposed to what is across the river, because across the river you have that Argentinian city that is a lot older, more productive, it's flourishing and all that, and
that's Posadas, Argentina, that you're talking about.
That's the name of it. Yes.
I can Google with the best of them.
That's it. Yeah, so it's a beautiful site.
So this is not a colonial city center sort of thing that we'd see in a lot of cities. It's a newer city?
It's more of a newer city, yes.
Got it.
And it's one of those where it's becoming the place to go. So you might get an individual who talks about Paraguay that would actually highlight Encarnacion, because Encarnacion has definitely flourished, I'm sure, but it was getting there while I was there.
Okay.
That's just a different perspective. I'm sure it's an awesome place.
Well, and we mentioned that this is one of 2, I think was with the count that we had of landlocked countries in South America, but this is a beach city, is my picture.
Yes, and that's a nice view. And that starts close to 20 miles before you even get to Encarnacion. All those, if you were to look at the road, all of that, you see the river alongside, all that's beach. So many spots to stop. It's a heavy attraction.
Is a beach scene a beach scene? Is a beach scene in Paraguay going to be different for me than what I'm used to?
Well, have you been to like a beach scene in, say, Mexico?
I have in Mexico.
Okay, so it's pretty tight, pretty crowded.
Not necessarily the ones that I've been to. So
this could get pretty crowded.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. A lot of activity.
Anything else we want to talk about in terms of the overall itinerary before we get to some of my wrap-up questions?
What about if I mention a few locations?
That would be great.
Okay, in this itinerary, it's kind of just to get people an idea of what the country is like.
Yep.
So it's almost like a circle. It's not the best circle, but it's an attempt at a circle if you were to look at it. But I would also say this. If you want to go and because it's going to be hot, so you should consider going to, like, say, a river or some water that will be refreshing for you. If that's going to be something that you want to consider, I would consider going to the National Park Ibicuí. That's spelled Ybucuie, I believe it is. Ibicuí. We would go there, and our place where we would camp was right there in the water. We would put our chairs in the water. The water is so cold. It was berthed within a mile of our location. And so just the clean water, the fresh water, just fighting the heat in the shade was so refreshing for us. Please consider that as you go. And if it's not Ibicuí, look for another one. I'm sure you'll be satisfied. There's a hidden gem in Paraguay. We discovered this maybe 5 years in, and then we visited this place 4 times afterwards. It is very difficult to get to, but it is definitely a paradise. And that place is called Laguna Blanca. Laguna Blanca means
the white
lagoon. So to get to this place, we had to make reservations in person in Asunción. I had to find this one little spot, very difficult to find, but I found it, met with the person, I paid them, and they gave me the secret map. And I took this map. And with this map, I traveled, I believe it was 4 hours from Asunción. And it's not necessarily on the map. I would need to look at it again, but I couldn't find it back in those days. But anyways, it led me to travel up north about 4 hours, and then it told me to go on dirt road for, I think it was 15 miles. So that was a little bit iffy for me. And I'm traveling on this dirt road, and it's cool. Then there's other cars, and there's buses. So there's a lot of buses, a lot of bus stops. So people use that as their transportation. And so we get to this one spot where there's a wooden bridge, and I stop because I don't believe my car should go over this wooden bridge. Well, as I'm stopped, there comes this bus, and it just goes over like nothing. So that obviously motivates me. I traveled through all this. I get to this one gate. At the gate, I get off and I go to the house behind me, let them know that I'm the person that they're expecting. They come open up the gate, and then I'm allowed in. Then they close the gate. I travel about a mile in this enclosed area, and then I come out to this beautiful place called Laguna Blanca. It is amazing. It is the spot to go to. The sand is white. Mm-hmm. The camping area is under shade of trees. The water, you could probably go out, I don't know how many feet, so many feet. It's probably the height of a person, so it's probably 6 feet deep at the most. And then it comes back up, and then it goes down, and then that's the part of the lake that is a lot deeper. It's good for kids. It's good for adults. If you look at their shaded umbrellas, I mean, it's the place to be. It's almost like being at the beach. It's all yours. We did this quite a few times. This is an experience for those that just want to see paradise in a way.
Well, and I'm hearing it described as not an eco lodge, but an eco tourism sort of center.
Very nice spot.
Excellent. Any other places you want to make sure that we mention?
Yes. The other one is in regards to the culture of Paraguay. This is called Ipacaraí. So this is the lake Ipacaraí, found in the city of San Bernardino. This used to be the go-to spot. It kind of still is, but Encarnacion has taken over. People are going more to Encarnacion versus San Bernardino, but there are so many songs sung by Paraguayans about Ipacaraí. So that's something to kind of have in you as you go. It's a beautiful place to tour around. There's a lot of small restaurants. There's a lot of water parks in a way next to this lake, alongside of the lake. So it's a great spot. It attracts a lot. There's a lot of concerts that happen there.
And only 31 miles or so from the capital. So.
Yep. And the other one is, if you want to see also another cultural aspect of Paraguay, one would need to go in the month of December. December 8th is Dia de Cacupe. So that's the Virgin of Cacupe. If you go to that city during that time, that's where millions of Paraguayans gather in response to God. So you'll see so many people traveling from Asunción to that, taking that walk. You'll see them traveling from Ciudad del Este to that city, whether it be walking, on bike. You have some people that consider doing it on their knees. You have stands along the way for refreshments and all that. So that's just, whether you go during that time or not, that's just an amazing thing to see. If you go into the church, you will then be taken up, it's almost like, I guess, in the steeple. And as you go around and around, it tells you the story of the Virgin Cacupe. It's a nice thing to kind of look at. It looks nice as well.
And it tells me that in Spanish or English?
I think it's in Spanish. Okay. But there's always tours available. There's always people that speak English there.
And Google Translate.
Yes.
Excellent. No, that actually answered my next question, which was going to be, is there a special day you should be in Paraguay? So we already got to some of the wrap-up questions.
Today is actually the Independence Day of Paraguay.
Oh, okay. And today, we are recording this on May the 14th.
Yeah.
Got it. And what is Independence Day celebrated in a similar way that we celebrate, with less red, white, and blue, or what is the celebration of Independence Day look like in Paraguay?
It's red, white, and blue. They have the same color flag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they always have the flag up. I think it's either today or tomorrow. Because on mine it says the 15th is Independence Day, but today there's a national holiday, so I don't know what's going on. I still have the Paraguayan holidays inside of my calendar as well.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, typical celebration. People know how to relax over there. So during Easter break, or what is it called, Semana Santa, Holy Week, nobody works. During the World Cup, nobody works. During big games, nobody works. I mean, people gather to relax. People gather to celebrate. People gather to just be with. They take advantage of the opportunity to let things go and just be with. So in a way, it's good to see that, because sometimes we need to be taught how to let it all go and just relax a little bit.
Well, and you were having some confusion over Independence Day. If it makes you feel any better, our second president of the United States, John Adams, wrote to his wife Abigail that after they signed the Declaration, that this day was going to be a significant day that people would celebrate the 2nd of July forever. And we didn't end up celebrating the day they signed the independence. We ended up celebrating the day they published it 2 days later. So sometimes there's a little fudge factor there when things happen.
Yes.
If I go to Paraguay, what is going to surprise me?
The language.
Okay.
Paraguayans are bilingual. They speak Spanish and Guarani.
Okay.
Guarani is their native tongue. If you talk to people, and if you understand Spanish, you'll see that their Spanish is a little bit different than maybe our Spanish.
Sure.
As well as you'll hear some words that you've never heard. Those words are Guarani words that they just get used to adding to their sentence.
Sure.
The other one that's surprising is there are many cultural communities. You actually can travel and go into those communities, remove anything that's already going on and just be inside of those communities. So what does that mean? We traveled to a place called Philadelphia, and it's a long trip. It's in the desert, and when we get there, it's a whole new city. It's a whole new vibe. The way the place is constructed, but the layout of the land, the way the people work, how they live is way different. So that's a Mennonite community.
And desert would make it up in the northwest part of the country.
Yes.
Half of the country or whatever.
Very agricultural, very intelligent, the way they have been working that land. So they know how to do it. You go to another route. I don't know where this is, but it's called La Colmena. I believe it's a Japanese colony. A friend of mine, Japanese, went there, and he just enjoyed kind of leaving the culture of Paraguay and entering the Japanese culture inside of that location. So you can encounter so many of these.
That's not all that far from Ascension.
Yes. So that's why Paraguay was a place of refuge, and you could see when you go there that there are a lot of people there. And also, I guess the biggest surprise, I'll say it again, is definitely soccer. Soccer stops the country. When I was there as a teacher. I went there as a vice principal, and I didn't understand why we would stop classes to just see the inauguration of the World Cup, which took about 2 hours. And since then, I had to cave and allow that sport to also take over my life, because why would I work if everybody's watching the game? So I began to participate with everybody, and my family began to participate, and it becomes a beautiful thing where if you're just hanging out and there's a can on the floor, you just start kicking it and there's a game happening right there. It's part of that lifestyle. If you're traveling from Asuncion to Paraguay, before you get to Paraguay, there is on the side of the road, there is a small town that will be trying to sell you so many soccer balls. It's like an alley of soccer balls. The soccer ball capital of Paraguay. That's just to tell you that they really love the sport.
Excellent. As we go to start to wrap this up, you are standing in the prettiest spot in Paraguay. Where are you standing and what are you looking at?
I would be in Ibicuy. I would be with my back against the waterfall as it kind of just goes over my body. Sitting down in a seat made by the rocks, refreshing. Seeing my kids splash around in the pool. Seeing in the distance the water disappear because there's a waterfall up ahead. I'm telling you, man, this is beautiful scenery.
Excellent. One thing that makes you laugh and say only in Paraguay.
People share everything.
Okay.
And so I think when I'm here, it's amazing how people don't want to share. Only in Paraguay would people share a Coke, people share a beer, people share that tereré drink. I guess only in Paraguay would they stop the nation for a game.
Excellent. And if you had to summarize Paraguay in just 3 words, what 3 words would you use?
Relaxation, barbecue, and water.
Excellent. Excellent. Our guest again has been Angel Hernandez. Angel and I have been trying to set this up for, 6 months or something like that. So it's good that we finally had this. And this is, I think, the second or third time I've tried to do a show in Paraguay. So Angel, thanks so much for coming on Amateur Traveler and sharing with us your love for Paraguay.
Hey, no problem. I really appreciate it, Chris.
In news of the community, first, a special thanks to our new patrons of the show who are supporting the show, including Gary Black and Katie Cross, and former guest Spencer Kwong. Thanks so much for supporting the show, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all at the Patron Zoom on Saturday. I got an email from Susan, who's doing some fact-checking for us. She says, I meant to ask, but did anyone come back to you after episode 706, South Dakota National Parks, during which Gary said that Minuteman Missile National Historic Site is the only National Park Service site that has anything to do with the Cold War? If not, I can tell you that's incorrect, as Everglades National Park contains the Nike Hercules site called Alpha Battery, or HM69. And I think we actually talked about that on the show we did on Southern Florida. I think Gary may have said the only one dedicated to the Cold War, which would get him an out. But it was funny when I got this from Susan. I also remembered that the Golden Gate National Recreation Area also has a Nike missile site, and there's an article about that on the website. Susan goes on to say they also do a fascinating ranger tour. It sounds similar to the Minutemen tour that Gary described, in so much as the one we went on was led by a former missile guy who had worked at the site. Highly recommended. Hope this helps. All the best, Susan. Thanks so much, Susan. I always appreciate it when people kindly correct us and make sure that we have the most accurate information that we can on this show. With that, we're going to end this episode of Amateur Traveler. If you have any questions, send an email to host@amateurtraveler.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at amateurtraveler.com. And thanks so much for listening.